Hey everybody, welcome back to CI7. We are in round 5, which is pretty deep in the tournament. That means there's only 12 players left between the upper and the lower bracket, so anybody who's still alive at this point has had themselves a very respectable tour and definitely had one of the better finishes this year. But alas, it is getting to the hardcore cutthroat part of the tour where people are just going to start dropping, and there are no easy pairings left at this point. This one's tough. I could say that about more or less any pairing this round. Jester and Ban Manaphy, two players that not that long ago wouldn't have been inconceivable for either of them to win the tournament, make it to the finals, whatever. One of them still can, but one of them is going to be eliminated here. These are probably, like I said, two of the tournament favorites based on the way they've been playing throughout the tour and how they've done the past couple of rounds, but journey's going to end for one or the other. Let me just get the unfun stuff out of the way, and then we can get to the set. And that, of course, would be donations. It'll be pretty quick, guys. We're actually pretty close. We are $300 and change, 306, 307, something like that, away from hitting our $2,600 goal. That feels very, very doable, but donations always do slow down around this part of the tournament, and we kind of have to drag ourselves across the finish line. So I'm hoping we can get just a couple more and get that extra 307 that we need to hit 2,600. And of course, the reason is because that would break the record for last year, which would break the record for any CALLOUS Invitational. It would be the most money that we have ever paid out to anybody, and that's the way that I want to go out since this is the final CALLOUS Invitational. So, if you are able to contribute, it is via PayPal donation link. It's quick, it's easy, it's secure. PayPal takes a really small chunk, but other than that, it all goes into the prize pool. I'm not keeping any of the money, and if you want credit for your donation, I'd be more than happy to give it to you. If you want to stay anonymous, that's totally fine too. We can do that as well. Let me know. Would really appreciate the help, and this tour is on pace to be the biggest CI we've ever had. Just need $307 more. Please help if you can. With that out of the way, Game 1 in a best of 3 here. I was not able to catch it live because they're both dickwads and couldn't be bothered to give me a day or a time, so nobody knew when they were going to play. Would have caught this live had I known, but as it stands, I didn't catch a single moment of this series, and I have no clue what's going to happen, so we're going to find out together. Game 1, Jester and Mana. So, Jester, a real Jester in fact, no fake ones allowed. Gonna be on the bottom with T-Tar. Ban Manaphy, I'm not a lead Rachi fan, but I know there are several good ADVers these days who really do like that mon. Just preference, I suppose. It's gonna be a lead Hidden Power there, which is underwhelming against Skarmory. It's not HP Grass either, so I guess that's HP Fighting. Neutral on Skarm, aimed at Tar. Switches it up now to Thunderbolt, which obviously is super effective. And he's going to take advantage of the situation by Calm Minding on the Protect. Jester could have just switched after spiking, but he gets greedy here. And there's a double to Dougie. Let's see what he's trying to catch. Does Jirachi suffice? I would assume that if he's in this position, he's going to stay in and go for it. We don't know what kind of Jirachi it is, but it's not very likely that it can kill the Dugtrio in one shot from that HP. I mean, if you get crit or frozen or body slammed or whatever, shit happens, but I think you've got to go for it from where Mana sits. And that makes it somewhat interesting. Toxic puts a bit of a clock. It's obviously going to be Protect now. You can't wish, because you'll definitely die to EQ. The question, I guess you just keep coin flipping Protects, right? I mean, from Mana's end, you have to stay in, and Jester doesn't have the option to switch, so pretty straightforward for both of them. You keep clicking EQ, and you keep clicking Protect, and you see how many lucky Protects in a row you can get. Previous one was a 50-50. That one was 25-75, so that's certainly some luck. This next one is 12.5%. No way, right? Hey, stranger things have happened. Have you ever missed a 90% attack? This stuff does happen, but Jester doesn't get that lucky, and he does finally fail his Protect, but he actually manages to trade with the Dugtrio, so overall, that was actually pretty unlucky for Mana. You're not supposed to trade there the vast majority of the time. The Dugtrio is supposed to just win. It might end up at, 30% or something. That's fine, but there's a huge difference between it being at 30% or dead. So the fact that he got that many Protects in a row successfully and managed to actually kill the Dugtrio, it could matter, because now the Dugtrio isn't there to kill the T-Tar, for example, the way that it would be otherwise. Nevertheless, Mana did manage, since he has a double Trapper team, to kill the Skarm as well with Magneton, so he's got the lead. He's also going to hit the Zapdos with Ice Beam here. That was perhaps just aimed at the Mence, but sure, Zapdos switch works. Magneton back in, little Bolt Beam resistor here, also doesn't care about Toxic. It gets immediately roared out, however, and we revisit with the Jirachi. It showed HP Fighting, Calm Mind, T-Bolt earlier. I don't think we have not seen the last move. Could just be Ice Punch, which is the last thing that Mence wants it to be. Hey, on cue. Ice Beam on the switch, or Ice Punch rather, and it's going to nail the Mence, which, like I said, probably the worst possible target as far as Jester is concerned, and the lead gets bigger for Mana. Got a Lax in the back here. Since it's double Trapper, it might very well be a Rest Lax here. I wouldn't be surprised if it is Curse Rest. And there is Curse. The question is, does it have Rest? He could just Boom here, though he doesn't want to Boom into a Protect, but I think he's clicking Rest. Nope, I'm wrong. Story of my life. It actually is Boom, and he walks right into the Protect, so couple good plays for Mana in which Jester instantly got something killed, but now the table's turning a little bit as Jester outplays Mana, and he booms into nothing. So all of a sudden this is close again. Mana had a 3-1 lead just moments ago, but now it is 3-3. Sand has been removed temporarily, but T-Tar's still alive, and here it is, re-establishing the Sand. Suicune from this position, however, especially a Suicune that we know has Ice Beam, looks difficult for Jester to deal with. I'm not clear what the plan is here. He does survive a Surf, but Crunch is nowhere near good enough there. Just 17%. That is not going to get it done. And Surf takes the T-Tar out. I guess we're on the Zapdos plan. Gonna need a crit or a para, full para here. I guess maybe just a para will do, and maybe Swampert can get it done. And there is the para, but not the full para, and Ice Beam takes it down. But now you have more than 0 chance. Swampert here with a good roll, or, I mean, it really depends what the last poke is. You can maybe beat the Coon, you can maybe beat the Irachi. Hell, hey, okay, we've got a chance. You can maybe beat the Mence. The Intimidate is very relevant, however. Ooh, and it's a non-lefties Mence. Is that a Choice Band Mence, perhaps? Protect their whiffs, but it doesn't matter. Suicune's still very much in Earthquake range, thanks to the Spike. Back to the Mence again, trying to come in on EQ, which he does do successfully here. So that's going to let him fodder his Coon, and that's going to get yet another Intimidate off later, so Mana playing this correctly. And there it is again. So I guess the plan is to intimidate the Pert down to where the Irachi does actually beat it one-on-one. That's going to have to be the plan, which is a little bit sketch because we know the full move, and he's actually going to be trying to beat him with Ice Punch. He's not going to HP Fighting him down here, nor is he going to Thunderbolt him down here, so he's actually going to have to Ice Punch him to death. It's going to be close. PP is a consideration for sure with the Earthquakes. The base Earthquakes now with 3 Intimidates are pathetic, but if he crits once, he just instantly wins. There's also the possibility that either one can freeze the other. But Mana does have the edge here. If it's all normal, if they both just go blow for blow and there's no critical hit, then Mana obviously being faster, healthier, and doing just as much with the Ice Punches as Swampert is doing with the Earthquakes, Mana should win this, but it can go either way. Jester can just any moment, boom, crit, I win. And he doesn't get it there. So I think he only has one more opportunity. Regardless of protects, he's going to be 2-hit KO'd at this point by Ice Punches. So Jester down to one more chance. He's going to need to Earthquake crit in order to win. And in the meantime, he's going to have to avoid himself being crit and also avoid a freeze. No crit. Froze. Thaw. However, no critical hit there. Like I said, crit would win. Crit would have been necessary. But now Jester would need a miraculous string of protects yet again, like 4 of them or something. Doesn't go for it, not going to happen, and Mana does take this one down, but it got a little scary at the end. It looked just for a moment after Zapdos got the power, like maybe, just maybe, depending on the last poke, maybe Jester could pull it back. Something subtle, actually, that really, really mattered here. So Jester mispredicted or Mana outpredicted him, whatever term you want to use, and it actually enabled the Salamence to get in for a 3rd time and get a 3rd Intimidate off, because remember, Jester kept Earthquaking into the Salamence, whereas maybe in theory he could have caught it with an Ice Beam on the switch and just killed it. I've got to wonder how this would have played out if there had only been 2 Intimidates rather than 3 Intimidates, because then the Earthquakes would do just a little bit more, and that might actually change the math here. So I wonder if something as subtle as that, something that is very easy to overlook, I wonder if the difference between sniping the Mence or not, between the 2 Intimidates versus 3 Intimidates, I wonder if that made the difference here. It could have. Don't know. Speculation is fun sometimes, but we have more games to narrate. We've got 1-0 Mana, trying to knock Jester out. You guys know the deal by now with lower bracket. Mana has 2 opportunities. Jester needs to win 2 in a row. Here is game 2. As we switch sides for continuity, Jester on the bottom, T-Tar yet again. Mana on the top with a Medicham. You know, probably a good matchup into T-Tar. And he's going to BP out immediately, and that is almost certainly a Pursuit Tar. Jester has been trapped. Pulls it back, and Pursuit. Alright, it's a very, very bulky Gengar to not only survive that, but survive it relatively comfortably, but still a very favorable opening sequence for Mana. Pulls it back, and we end up with Skarm on Suicune here. Should be at least a layer of spikes, unless we have a double trapper, which I'm actually not surprised. Lead Baton Pass Medicham, which I am a huge fan of, is very often paired with that exact configuration. Magneton at least, and not super uncommonly, the Pursuit Tar as well, for that exact reason. Functions kind of like a BP Zapdos in the lead. It is an enabler, it is a facilitator, it is your NBA point card. It kind of sets up the rest of the team, and yeah, you get to BP to your trapper of choice based on what they do on turn 1. If they go to Gar, great, got ya. If they go to Skarm, great, got ya. It works out pretty well because it forces a lot of things out. Medicham, obviously a very scary poke, especially against lead T-Tar. So I'm a big lead Medicham with BP fan. It's something I've used a good amount myself, and it's going to work out pretty well here. He did, crucially though, the Skarm did eat the Thunderbolt from Magneton, which it does not always do. So it's the difference between 1 layer and 0 layers, which could matter here. And we've got ourselves a 5-5 after all that. Jester has shown his entire team already. Got no Rapid Spinner, but Mana I don't think has a Spiker, so no harm, no foul. Medicham sneaking in on an S-Toss here, but it can easily one-hit KO Blissey from this HP. So it's going to be a switch, unsurprising. And it is just Brick Break for a pretty hefty 61%. Looks like he might be locked on that, though. Usually when I run the BP Cham myself, I run it as just 4 attacks with lefties. But he seems to go a different way with it. It seems to be choice banded. And it's not as exciting here. The Gengar switch was so obvious. I'm kind of surprised that he stayed in and Brick Breaked again. But he's either going to have to let it go or get out of the way. And he opts for the former, let it go. So Jester going to take the lead. But this is just going to be a trade, so Jester has one opportunity here, knowing that he's going to die to Pursuit, to fish for a crit, fish for a freeze, get him with Will-O-Wisp, whatever it may be. He does try to get him with Will-O-Wisp, but 75-25, not cooperative this time. And we have ourselves, just like that, a tie game yet again at 4-4 as the Gengar is pursuited away. Tar on Tar, physical beat special, pretty handily. Ooh, they actually both have EQ. That's probably surprising to Jester. I would not have thought that Manas has EQ here, but lo and behold. Here comes a Salamence switch, trying to come in on another EQ. And Jester once again EQs into a Salamence. That was his MO last game, and he's going to do it again. Gets intimidated as insult to injury. Out of the way to Bliss. And that is Dragon Claw, indicating a mixed or special Mence. Very well may a Brick Break here, but it's going to be nowhere near enough to kill Bliss. And it would die to an Ice Beam, nor would it appreciate a T-Wave. But Jester going to play it safe and click Soft Boiled here. T-Tar comes in. We've seen Pursuit and Earthquake. Is it that really old Crunch Pursuit Earthquake Rock Slide set? I'm not personally a fan of that, but that could be what we're looking at here. Earthquake 28%. The Bliss is actually faster. Gets S-Toss off. One more. Puts it in range to where it'll die to the next attack. Now that I'm a fan of. I love me some T-Wave Tar. I wish people used that more, but Bliss not the ideal target for it. But I'm still a big fan. And in comes the last poke Lax. I love Mana's team. I've used teams like this several times, and I'm a big fan. Really like Mana's team in this round. This game, rather. Here comes the switch out to Lax. Man, I can't narrate. I'm so excited about Mana's team. I said Lax. I meant Swampert. They're all the same. Anyhow. One curse. Ooh, I don't know about Protect into something that's cursing up. I guess it worked out, but he easily could have just cursed again there. Lax looks very difficult given what's left for Jester. Not really seeing much of an answer. I guess Roar will temporarily deal with it, but still not seeing a long-term answer. Given the team that Jester's running here, it looks to me like Maglax is probably an unfavorable matchup. And there's another setup move being used. I don't blame him, though. He showed Dragon Claw earlier. Who would have played around Dragon Dance there? Certainly not I. Weird set here for Mana. Dragon Claw and Dragon Dance. I hope we see the full 4. I would love to know. That one I can't fault Jester for. Nobody would have played around Dragon Dance there. Okay, and it's got Brick Break as well. I think I've actually used this exact set of Mence as well. I think it would have been last move Flamethrower or Fire Blast there. I've used that set before. It doesn't have a fire attack because you're relying on Mag to get Skarm, and then if they happen to have Meta or Rachi, you're just dealing with it another way. So, super creative team for Mana. Weird T-Tar set, weird Mence set, love the lead BP Medi, everything about it. I love Mana's team. And it looks like, pending a crit from Jester, which he doesn't get here, it looks like it's going to be successful. I would think that the Suicune could finish off the T-Tar here, but Quick Claw T-Tar, banned in this tournament, by the way. Now would be the time. You know, unsurprisingly, Jester is not cheating and does not have Quick Claw, and Mana does manage to get the kill. Loved his team, thought it was really cool, but putting that aside for a moment, that is a good run for the now eliminated Jester. Last year he had a pretty good run, top, I want to say 8, and this is going to be a top 12 finish for him as well. So a consistently good CI player. A shame in that regard that there won't be more of these because Jester is still a younger guy and could probably compete in these for a number of years to come and continue to do well. Perhaps if a successor comes along and takes my place, whether it's Jim Cool or whoever it's going to be, perhaps Jester will be a star in that Invitational. But another good finish for him and a lot of respect. Just going strictly by the eye test, I thought that Jester has been one of the best players in this particular tour. Maybe not so much in this set. Mana definitely had his number, but by and large, up to this point, I thought Jester had been one of the better players in the tour. But Mana is also, when we're having this conversation, you know, Mana's right up there in the Star Master, H-Clat, Jester, Johnny tier of just the most consistent players in CI across multiple tournaments. Mana has never, in now 4 of these, finished below the halfway point. He's always been in the upper half every single time. That includes a money finish back in CI4 where he made his debut. That also has multiple top 8s, whatever. Mana always goes deep. He's very consistent at what he does, and certainly a player to watch in the lower bracket going forward. So the result, as you all saw, 2 for Mana, none for Jester. Jester is eliminated, and that will conclude this match. But I've got another one to narrate for you, which is actually happening Monday morning. Unfortunately, I had to give them an extension, but it's happening 10:30 Eastern Monday morning. If you want to catch it live, that's Crystal and Soulwind. I'm going to be getting ready for work, so I'm not going to be able to catch it live, but I plan on narrating that after work. I'll get it uploaded on Monday late afternoon, early evening, and we'll be able to move on with the tour. In the meantime, hope you guys enjoyed this match, and I'll see you in the next video.